You want one? No. What's your name?
Okay, you can have copies if you want. You guys.
Anybody else want one? Motion.
Thanks.
Anybody else on Zoom up?
Representative Belcher, Representative Burrows, and Representative Crawford.
Is there another commission? Okay. Who else? We'll start our meeting, a little late, apologies. Mr. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you're here, signify by yes and aye. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Belcher.
Here.
Brown. Yes. Constable. Here. Crawford.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here, great, thank you. McDonald.
Here.
Petnell.
Here.
Bucco. Absent. Woodcock. Absent. Burrows.
She's here.
Anita's here.
Online.
Okay. Anita, can you hear us? She's online. McAleer.
Here.
Page.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, Avalon.
Present. Do we have a quorum, Mr. Clerk?
I show 13 present and 2 not.
10 present.
I'm showing more.
10 present here.
Oh, 10 present here, I apologize, thank you. Yeah, so I believe we are sitting with a quorum.
Thank you. Do a pledge of allegiance. Representative Brown, will you
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment?
Yes, Rick King from Oak Carroll. Couple of things. I've been coming for close to 2 years now talking about the agency staff. Last week, the CFO said that they're coming today to do a line item transfer for agency staff. $961,110 was spent as of April 30th, the first 4 months of the year. Last year, that figure was $345,495. I think we need to address this agency staffing. For years gone past, it's always been put in the budget at $15,000. It's not in the budget this year because they're taking it from the understaffing in the nursing home. I think this needs to be addressed. And I had pleaded with the delegation to put a committee together to maybe try to help them address this. And they said, well, they don't do anything in employee issues to do the money. Well, I think you ought to follow the money here. We're almost at $1 million in, 5 months into the year. I think you need to follow that. Also, I'd like to make a comment on the annex renovation of $8.3 million. The commission chair stated that this project, if it runs over budget, the Siemens Corp is going to cover it. To me, that tells me that there's so much pork in it that they can cover this budget if it goes over. I think even though this is, grants that we're receiving, Carroll County has to be responsible what they do with the people's money. these grants are the people's money. Even Carroll County people pay federal income tax. That's all part of this. And I think once this project, if it goes forward and it's done, we're gonna have to maintain it, and I think the cost is gonna be, much higher than it is now. When you look at this building, even out front there, the grounds are overgrown. It's a mess, the front entrance out here. They haven't been maintained. We're gonna need people to maintain these things. And today there was some discussion on the roof. Years ago, they talked about demolishing these buildings when they built the new facility over there. So I really think we have to think about how we spend the people's money. Even the chair of the commission has said this isn't taxpayers' money, it is taxpayers' money. And we all pay taxes, and whether it comes from a grant or locally, we're all footing this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further public comments?
Yes, Dallas Emery.
Thank you.
I've been waiting all day for you guys to get here. I appreciate all of you. I do think that you made a good pick with Chuck McGee when you chose him for the commissioner. He's done a great job. My concern isn't with any of these things. Personally, myself, I don't think we should be spending any money on anything. Everybody's got a different issue here, and everybody's got a different thing that they're striving to, make happen at the State House. There's only one committee in this whole state that needed to be paid attention to, and that was the COVID Response Committee, because everything beyond that means nothing. Everybody should be paying attention to what happened. Our government, our federal government, is the one who caused all of these problems. They're giving us money we don't have. We're $34 trillion in debt. Where are they getting this money? They want to open up this place to a vaccination center. There is no proven safe vaccination. And you can go to the COVID committee and ask them. This is all proven. There's felonies that were committed. Is anybody going to be held responsible for any of it? Anybody? Is anybody going to go to jail? Is anybody going to hold anybody accountable for what they did to not only this state, the country, and the world? Okay, this is a huge problem. And none of this matters if none of that is taken care of. So you can spend all the money you want. You can do whatever you want. The people you're helping, they don't have anything anyway. The taxpayers have still got to pay for it, which is me. You're not helping me at all. So I would like to see if any of you do anything at all, because somebody needs to be held responsible for the actions that our governor, our Secretary of State, our Attorney General, our Health and Human Services officer, all of them. They knew. They all knew. It's been proven that they knew. But nobody's going to do anything. And until that happens, I have no faith in this government. I have no faith in the healthcare industry. I have no faith in any of it. So somebody want to bring my faith back? Anybody? Because I don't see anybody doing anything. Everybody's just talking about what we're going to spend on, what we're going to continue to do in the future. There's nothing that you can do. We got until November. Then we don't know what's going to happen. Because nobody wants to say, hey, we don't like this president, we don't like this president. Who cares? Really, it doesn't even matter. None of it matters until this whole COVID thing gets straightened out. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. That's the only reason I'm here. I've been waiting all day just to say, do something. Do something. Somebody please do something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have our meeting minutes from February 19th. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Representative McConkey, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Cordelli. Any discussion? Mr. Clark?
Motion to accept the minutes. Cordelli.
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Belcher.
Abstain.
Brown.
Yes.
Constable.
Yes. To sit through week after week
Crawford.
after week in court. And then after all of that.
Who is not muted?
Did any actual crime, that he did anything wrong whatsoever. So I don't think we're at the stage.
Representative Belcher?
It's not the last sentence. I think the prosecution.
Who is, thank you. Who's not muted?
Everyone on Zoom should mute.
Yes.
Crawford.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
She's on mute.
Continue.
Crawford.
It's my internet.
Crawford's a yes. Crawford's a yes.
Yes.
Thank you. McDonald. Yes. Pednell.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
McAleer.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
One abstain.
Representative Belcher, could we ask for your abstention because you were present?
Apologies, I didn't realize I was present. In that case, I will change my vote to yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Do we have somebody here from UNH?
Yes, right here. Okay, just put a chair right here. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Take this chair right here. Hello, representatives. Thank you for having us today. My name is Amy Loader. I'm the interim director of UNH Cooperative Extension. And this is my coworker, Paul Carantona.
Sure do.
He manages public affairs, oversees our county extension offices, and makes sure that we have advisory councils and many other tasks in public relations for UNH Extension. So the reason why I'm here today is to introduce myself as the new interim director of Cooperative Extension. I've been around now for 23 years with Cooperative Extension in various roles. I got my start as a field specialist in agriculture in Belknap County, followed by the same job in Merrimack County. And then I supervised the agriculture staff for about 4 years, and most recently served as an associate director for Cooperative Extension for 8 years. So when our director, Ken LaValle, was stepped aside for a different position, I was appointed to be the interim director of extension for a 15-month period. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm serving my maybe second month on the job now, so it's nice to meet you all in person. And then the second reason I'm here is every 6 years, UNH Cooperative Extension asks each county government to sign a memorandum of understanding. And that really means that if, in this case, Carroll County commits to the county extension office, which is located in Conway, UNH will meet in kind. So currently, well, in 2023, for each $1 that Carroll County spent for this cooperative extension office, we matched with $1.70. And that $1.70 match per dollar came from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USNH budget through the state, as well as grants. So overall, all of the counties together, including Carroll, all fund about 14% of UNH Cooperative Extension's budget. We get about 25% of our funding from grants at this time. The state of New Hampshire funds about 40%, and about 13 or 14% is funded by the USDA. So that's our current state. Any other money on top of that that I didn't account for would be some contracts and program income. So this isn't today asking you, I'm not asking you for money today. We come to the county every day with every year with a budget request. This is more Just asking you to keep your relationship with us going so that we can, for the next 6 years, keep an office open in Carroll County. And by the way, we have had cooperative extension in New Hampshire since 1915. So we have actually had a cooperative extension office in this county since then, 1915.
Thank you. Do we have an approved MOU that the county has signed?
The county commissioners who we met with earlier did vote to approve. The chair was not present at that time, so we did not get a physical signature.
Any questions for cooperative extension? But
Is this the renewed one,
Yes, so,
not the original?
so this is the one that we got from 2024. There are only 2 differences in this one from the 2018 one, and I can direct you to the sections that were their differences. And they really were made to reflect the spirit of how we operate and how you know we operate, and to show that while we have the County Advisory Council, we want to make sure that we, as Extension, we're the ones that you'd be coming to with consultation from our Advisory Council as an advisory group, helping to steer our work in the county. Some of the wording in the previous MOU said that the County Advisory Council would be accountable to the commissioners. We felt that it was more appropriate to change the wording so that we would be the ones reporting to the commissioners with any questions they have with consultation with our Advisory Council. So those sections, if you look at section 1 on page 2, the very bottom, section F, the original phrasing of that was that the County Cooperative Extension Advisory Council, working with UNH Cooperative Extension, will be accountable to the county commissioners for the expenditure of county funds appropriated for cooperative extension programs. We updated that language this year in our draft that we're presenting to you all to say that UNH Cooperative Extension, working with the County Extension Advisory Council, will be responsible for expending the funds, which is how we operate currently, appropriated by the county convention, and will provide information to the county commissioners as requested. We want to make sure that we knew that we would be reporting back, ongoing, as well as during the annual budget cycle. And similarly, on page 3, section 3B, we included, and it reads that the County Cooperative Extension Advisory Council and Cooperative Extension's County Office Administrator, we added the phrase "or extension designee," just a logistical piece. If our COA happens to be out of office and there's a need, we may need a supply of information from us. So we provided some of our flexibility in there. However, our COAs would be the primary point of contact and should be the ones bringing them forward. As you continue down, once the county budget is finalized, we changed that to approved. The county, it originally read, is finalized, the County Extension Advisory Council shall oversee the expenditure. And instead we changed the phrasing to extension's county office administrator or extension designee in consultation with the County Cooperative Extension Advisory Council. And that really just reflects the way we've been doing business for, even before the 2018 was signed, that we share information with our County Advisory Council around the budget. They are part of our process when it comes to formulating our budget and reviewing that before we bring it to the county delegation of the commissioners. And we felt that language better showcased what we actually were doing and how we operate and how we've been known to operate.
Thank you. And the commissioners are okay with these changes?
Yes.
Were they reviewed by anybody outside of?
Not that I'm aware of.
CFO, are you aware of these changes?
No, I have not seen it.
Do you want to give them a look-see?
Sure.
Make sure that we are following
Sure.
the
Ready
spirit.
to share a copy?
Please.
Well, absolutely. I was sure to contact with our folks to make sure we weren't changing the spirit of anything in there, and that truly was reflecting just how we've been operating. And because quite frankly, our advisory council, while they are our sponsor and they advise us and they share amazing information resources, operationally day-to-day, our staff are the ones who are expending the funds and are entrusted with spending of those funds. While we update our advisory council, they review and kind of oversee the direction of our spending. They don't not necessarily see how many paper clips we're buying day to day.
Do you do quarterly reports for the county, or before budget season, or just budget season we get?
That is
info, or-
for the county themselves. I can't speak to that personally here, because it does vary by county depending on what's requested by the commissioners. However, I do know that we have staff who go in quarterly in different counties in order to share information at the request of the commissioners. We have staff who do twice annually will go in. Others, it's just during the annual budget season. It's really up to the commissioners and what they'd like to receive for information. But we're happy to supply whenever and whatever is appropriate. And I will say that the county office administrator, Ann Hamilton, would normally have been here today, but she has been out of the office on leave recently and just returned back to the office. And when we scheduled these, she was unable to attend today. So I can definitely share any questions with her to report back as far as how she communicates with the commissioners.
Understandable. I would think, seeing as you're getting our approval as well, that something should be made to the delegation.
Absolutely.
We usually review the budget quarterly, and something from you guys would be helpful.
Absolutely.
To see what, where, when, why, and how.
Right. Absolutely.
And I don't think we've gotten that, much of that in the past, other than through the budget cycle.
In the normal course of action has been that the representative, who's Tom Bukoff on that, attends the county advisory council meetings and has his eyes on the budget along the way all year. Yeah, that's what, but if you'd like a change, if you want to have a quarterly report, we're happy to do that.
I think a quarterly report would be helpful to make sure that, you're doing what you need to do, and we do what we need to do through the budgeting process.
Yeah, easily enough.
Okay.
And on track to spend.
We run these reports monthly anyway, so it's just a matter of sharing whatever you need.
I see no, given that Representative Cordell.
Yes, who would you see that report being sent to? Copy to you and to the chair of the Board of Commissioners?
And then disseminated accordingly.
Okay.
You want to make that motion?
I would move that the county be provided a quarterly report with copies to the chair of the Board of Commissioners and to the chairman of the delegation.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk?
If you're in favor of the motion of quarterly reporting coming to the commissioners and the chairman, and then passed along to the delegation, signify by saying yes or aye. If you're opposed, no. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Belcher?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Possible?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Pednell?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
McAleer?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Avalani?
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And a motion to approve the MOU as written,
So moved.
and to allow the chair to sign it. Thank you, Representative Page. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Constable. Any further discussion? Mr. Clerk?
If you're in favor of the proposal motion to approve the MOU with the chairman's signature, signify by yes. If you're opposed, no. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Belcher?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Possible?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Pednell?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
McAleer?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
I miss Mr. Woodcock's loud response.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And thank you to UNH as well. Do we have a copy? Like a real copy?
We have 2 copies.
I did bring some.
Like an official copy that you guys want signed, instead of copies.
Yes, sir. I brought 2, just in case I happen to spill coffee on it. If I may leave it with you for signature.
Thank you very much. much.
You want these copies?
That was a question. One
Based on
It's funny we're in the State House, David sitting behind me overseeing.
My money for a while.
He sits up there, he sits up on the chair. He sits up there and he starts throwing stuff at me.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, just have a question. As interim director, is it your intention to stay on and be, going forward, that this will be your permanent?
Well, as a matter of fact, I will have to apply for the position, but it is my intention to do that. And I think that it's likely, it will be advertised externally in about 1 year. Yeah, that is my intention. You're very welcome. Well, thank you very much for your time and for your support.
Thank you. We have the lands and annex subcommittee report due today. And I want to thank the members, Representative Page, Representative Brown, Representative McCarthy, for taking on this task on behalf of the delegation, and I want to thank you for all the work you've done up to this point and further. Representative McDonald.
I don't think that was a vote until we received the report by email.
Which one?
There were no changes to it, right?
There were changes to there's no change to what I sent this afternoon to you.
Then I will forward it on to the members on the Zoom. Thank you for that,
Thank you.
Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Representative McDonald. Thought everybody had.
Sure.
Yeah.
While she's doing that, do you want to have a brief discussion, or you want me to just go?
I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative.
I have a very engaged subcommittee. Richard and David and I have had conversations. At least a commissioner has been available. Bob's been very helpful, talking about the physical plan. We've had some public involvement. We have two charges in our committee, one being the land going forward, and I believe we've had some great movement on that. But what we focused in on for the last few weeks is on the building itself, the annex. Presently have somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 million. A lot of that coming from ARPA funds to repurpose the building we sit in here. We have been talking, and Siemens has been engaged with us with their project moving forward. I will say that we've had a good, my time that I've been here with the delegation, Siemens Corporation has been very positive for us in energy savings and other buildings and so forth. I and some of the board, some of our lands committee were under the impression that there was something more elaborate going on here, and I said earlier in the meeting that it was probably at my fault, that I was under the impression that we had a GC overseeing it and that they were indeed the GC of this project. Representative Brown had asked questions at least on 3 occasions before this, the soundness of the roof above us, and if we were inspecting that, and we were told that it was of adequate condition and it wasn't a concern in this project. I will tell you from my limited experience, I'm mostly an excavator with some building background, but in my role with the State Public Works Department, we always have a GC. It's our Public Works Department unless we put that out there for a design build. It became clear the last meeting or the meeting before, when we had asked for some changes that we don't have a GC on this project. And the most important thing, the thing we're always confronting with the state, it used to be a bucket rule in the prison. How many buckets do you put up every time it rains to capture the rain? That we were taking an opinion that two roof systems here, one of them over 40 years old, one of them somewhere near 30 years old, was in good condition, but hadn't been proven. So you build a building and you don't start at the roof, and you spend $8 million, what's going to happen in the future if the roof isn't sound? So there's a little more beyond that. If you walk around the exterior of this building, you'll see that for the most part, at least the three sides I've looked at, that the grass comes up against the building or the asphalt comes against the building. The roof system is short, doesn't have much of an overhang, drips onto the edge, and there's some concern, not a huge concern, but a concern on the brick and the mortar and the pointing of that, and whether, we're keeping moisture away. So those are real concerns, and they're not being addressed. And I will say before we start into this, I'm not looking to blow anything up. I've gotten phone calls and so forth about the last minute. The chairman has been very clear on this for months and months and months in our conversation, that we want to be sure that we're spending the money appropriately. And perhaps there might be alternatives to just spending it in this building. So what I have here before you is a recommendation that came from the Lands Advisory / Annex Committee, dated today, Wednesday 29th, Carroll County Delegation, to our delegation. We're very appreciative of the efforts of the commissioners, their staff, and especially Melissa Siemens in securing funding for our annex remodel. Melissa deserves many praises on that. We recently learned that an evaluation of the roof at the annex was not been performed in view of making the extensive rehab of an aged building without assurance that the roof will not require bonding, like what happened at the jail, is ill-advised at best. The cost of the roof, associated drainage around the annex, and pavement rehab should be included in the proposal, none of which is at this point. Sidebar. Providing these items are included, we recommend two items. One, retrofit sections A and B. For the delegation, there should be a diagram here that Siemens had provided you that broke this building in the wings into sections. A and B, A is the section you're sitting in, B is behind me that runs in this structure. C, D, E, G are wings and other parts that are off to the side of this building. For a point of reference, when we built that building, we demoed two of the wings there used to be four. So we are retrofitting sections A and B, the main building, to include retrofitting of the kitchen, the meeting rooms, and this meeting room is expanded and would have 3 petitions in it. Public bathrooms, office space, and maintenance accommodations. Item 2, the wing should be inspected to see which one is most suitable for limited rehab for Bob's maintenance needs. And I apologize for informality and not using last names, I apologize. We suggest before you select one wing, you consider the condition of the roof and evaluation of the interior of mold. It seems apparent as you walk through there that there might be a mold issue in one of those wings. There's a second part to our recommendation. Furthermore, we recommend the commissioners explore repurposing the remaining funding to seek a construction estimate to add on to the current nursing home to include assisted living on the main floor, laundry and maintenance in basement, construct limited overnight accommodations for nursing, emergency personnel on the second floor. Bullet point 2, we make this additional request knowing that the future build will most likely require bonding if the feasibility study warrants construction. Signed by myself as the chair, an affirmative vote 3-0 to recommend that to the delegation. I'm happy to take the conversation anywhere else you deem necessary, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative McConkey, for your input, and thank you to the committee for their presentation. We also have the Siemens people here as well. Why don't you guys come on up? I'm sure there'll be some questions. And Representative Cordell, you got a question?
Yes, thank you.
To the chair or to Siemens?
To the chair. Based on the recommendation sheet dated today, I guess it is,
Yes.
you're recommending that one of the wings that is currently slated for office space for use by the nonprofits be eliminated. Could you explain the reason for that?
Sure. We felt that there are two things happening in this building that we're in. One of those is a wish, a want by the commissioners to move the financial department over here and occupy that space in B. And in doing that, we felt some of that space could be used for the needs of the requirements of the ARPA funds, and we didn't feel that was necessary. We originally, so we were hoping that we could purpose that money to handle what the monies are intended for. And we had originally said that we were also going to just mothball both wings. Bob made his intention clear that he needed room for maintenance and places to reshift items in this building while it was being reconstructed. Did I come close to answering what you asked me?
I think that's it. Follow up?
Sure.
It seems to me that looking through the package, we had a number of letters excuse me, from nonprofits, including Cooperative Extension, related to their desire for use of space, which would be in that wing. And those letters were submitted as part of the request for funding to the office of Senator Shaheen. It would be my understanding that if those funds were not used for those purposes, that those funds would go back to the federal government. Is that your understanding as well?
I would agree with your assumption, and that's why we were hoping that that interior space that they're targeting for the financial department and other offices could be purposed for that. I think there might be a letter or two in there from soil conservation and some other groups that we learned after they'd made that presentation that it looks like they're going to move into space being built up at the start of the Kangamongas Highway. So I don't know if all of those groups are still looking for space. It's our hope that we can accommodate their needs as more as satellites as opposed to full office. And so my hope is that they'll be able to use that space in here. And is there a possibility of losing some of that $8 million? Yes, there is, sir.
Yeah, I'll come back later.
Representative McDonald?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative McConkey, for taking my question. You mentioned that the concern you have is about the roof. What would you look for a life expectancy if it was to be inspected? How many years down the road would you want that roof to last? And that being the case, if it met those requirements, would you be able to support the commissioner's plan and what they want to do with this building?
Providing the roof was brought to a condition that was suitable. I look at and I looked at Richard, he's got more experience on this. I would hope that we have a roof guarantee for 20 years. Am I mistaken on that? What term, not, I'll turn the
Usually it would be
question.
more than that, as the original roof was 1968, according to Bob, and then the roof that was placed over this is at least 34 years old. So the existing roofs are beyond their normal life expectancy. So I don't feel that these roofs would probably hold up and that we would probably have to have the roof replaced. That's why my concern was brought up over a number of meetings in regard to that, and that's why I'm disappointed that we didn't get a full roof report on this, so we could have taken that into consideration while we were looking at whether this was a reasonable project. So I'm not optimistic that, based on my experience, I've done millions of square feet of roofs and retrofits, that this roof would be easily renovated. The structure itself might be sound, so we could do a new roof on top of the structure, removing the other two roofs. But I can't be certain of that without any type of report. There was obviously a reason why they put a roof over this building 34 years ago, or whatever it was. So I would be concerned that the problems that they had then are still existing, and then we have another roof that's 34 years old over that. So, and I did talk to Siemens about it, and they were given assurances from us here in the county that the roof was sound, so I don't blame them for it, but I would not have moved forward with this without having done some type of roof inspection. So I don't have any kind of real expectation that that could happen without a significant cost and time.
I'll second.
The only thing I want to add is that, so in the last 2 weeks, we have been in touch with 2 roofing contractors. They can't get here until June, which is next week, but in preparation of this, I just said to stay on standby because we need some direction and have an idea of where we're headed. But we are prepared, we just can't take on more costs to the project right now, but a little more direction. And timeline too.
Thanks. Fair enough. Representative McDonald, follow.
What do you need from us to have the roof checked or inspected or whatever?
The biggest obstacle is honestly the Gopher funding. So it comes to a head in September 2024, so that's 3 months away. And while we can spend it, we're going to need to start contracts fairly soon. What my guess is that if this project goes forward with the contingency of a roof, that we almost take a phased approach in that the initial construction starts of whatever sections that everyone agrees on, and simultaneously a roofing contractor comes through. What I'm concerned about is with the delegation meeting schedule, that we wait another month, and then another month passes by, and we lose time in securing those funds. So I know initially when we had started this project, the commissioners had said that this could not be phased, but where we pushed it out as long as we have, de-scoped, re-scoped, repriced, depriced. We're kind of at a spot where we need to get going really quick.
One more.
Is there someone that we can come to look at the roof and say the roof's okay, it's going to be good for 10 years, 15 years, or whatever? Is there anyone that does that?
I have 2 people. We have one has done some work at the jail, and then we have another option as well from Bob.
What kind of a timeline are you looking for those guys?
Hopefully June.
Okay. And do they need money for that, or?
I don't know what their proposal structure is.
No, I mean to get them to pay them to come and do it.
Oh, probably, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Representative Cordelli.
Yes, thank you. Just in terms of the roof, not a direct question for Siemens, but I've been here for 12 years, and the roof has been discussed on numerous occasions during those 12 years. Maybe about 6 years ago, there was a little bit of work done on the roof. Bob will correct me on time frames. And that the finding at that point and on subsequent points is that the roof is in structurally sound shape. There is annual maintenance needed, but other than that, it's in okay condition. So, I'm concerned that this is coming up. This project has been going on for a year and a half, and now in the final few weeks, we're talking about the roof. That's a concern for me also. But, I would like to hear from our facilities director about his experience with the roof and the contractors that we've had on site in the past few years.
Mr. Murray?
Yeah, the Representative Cordelli is accurate. There was some repairs that were done to this roof 6 or 7 years ago, just to address some minor leakage that we had. But that falls under the maintenance category, and as long as this roof is maintained, it doesn't leak. And I've been told by a couple of different roofers that I've had here that the roof is in structurally sound condition. Metal roof, you should be able to get 50 years out of a metal roof. We're not at 50 years yet, and it would be my responsibility to make sure that the roof was maintained in good condition. But for a structurally sound roof that just needs annual maintenance, to replace it in its entirety, I'm not sure that that's a wise spending of money.
Thank you. Representative Brown?
So, in regard to that, I've spoken about the roof since early on in the process, and initially I was told that there was a roof report done, and so I asked to receive that report a number of weeks ago. Chairman McConkey can verify that. And then we found out that there was not a roof report. My understanding is that the county does have an existing roof consultant on site working on the jail. And if it's the roofing consultant that I know, I've worked with them in the past when I was employed by someone else, they could do a roof inspection fairly quickly and determine what it was because they're very experienced. That's what I've asked for some time, and that's the only way that I would vote in the affirmative for this, because I know, based on my nearly 50 years of construction and engineering experience, that roofs can be very problematic, and they can become very problematic very quickly, as is evidenced by the roof that we currently have over the jail. So I'm not saying that that the project isn't something that's appropriate. What I'm saying is, for me to feel comfortable with this, spending $8 million, I would have to feel comfortable with the roof structure itself being sound. I'm an engineer. Just because a roofing contractor says the roof looks good to me and that we've continued maintenance doesn't mean that that's the case. So if we get a report that says that, then I'm very happy, but otherwise, I'm not. It's that simple. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative McAleer.
My question, I quite frankly have not looked at the roof. What is it composed of? I was thinking it was like tar and gravel, but you're telling me it's metal? Is there any slope to it?
It's a pitched aluminum roof on a steel superstructure.
Those are like 100-year roofs, aren't they?
Long time. It'll outlive all of us.
Can I make a motion that we do have somebody come up as soon as possible and inspect the roof?
We could make that recommendation, but the commissioners would have to ask him to do that. We certainly can. I think that's been made abundantly clear. If you want to make that motion, I'm happy to entertain it.
Well, I would make that motion that they suggest to the commissioners that as soon as possible they get somebody who knows what they're talking about, not necessarily...
To get a roofing contractor who's going to come in and give us a...
evaluation? I wouldn't think a roofing contractor would be the right person. I would think, quite frankly, an engineer. It's somebody that does not have a connection to a construction company.
You want to give us that wording?
We did have an engineer come through, architect and engineer come through. They did provide us with, it's nothing official, but it's a write-up email supporting that the building is in good working condition. Where we weren't advised to take a look at the roof, we don't have that component of the report, if you will. But
He's got his motion.
Yeah.
Finish your motion. That we request that the commissioners hire an engineer, not a contractor, to examine the roof as soon as possible.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Representative McDonald.
I'm just concerned, what's the time frame? You said June.
But the timeline is, so the timeline is the biggest concern. To utilize the Gopher funding, we'll have to have it spent by September 2024, which is 3 months away. Again, my concern, engineering firms typically take a while, maybe not so much a roofing contractor, but an engineering firm may take a while to get on their schedule and have them generate a report for us, which would push us back even further and jeopardizing that $775,000 grant. Unless we went ahead with again, kind of a phased approach of starting general construction on whatever wings, areas, while simultaneously working on a roof report.
Representative Conklin.
Under discussion of the motion.
All right, we have first and a second. Get under discussion of the motion. Thank you.
What if the project were to proceed and we accept the funds, but that I'm sure you have a model number that's a current square foot pricing for whether, let's say, the worst case scenario, replacement of the roof. And I'm going to say if we're doing that at the jail and that's $1 million, that you don't go forward with the entire $8 million. Start on your project, keep everything moving forward, find out if the roof, which I don't see why it wouldn't be eligible for that, which would allow you more time than June to do that. Knowing that if the worst case scenario were to happen, Mr. Chairman, that then a new roof then would be brought into the project and you would lose $1 million somewhere else. It might be $750,000, might be 1.2. But I know that there is a viable number out there per square foot that's inflated for inflation. Would that be something to consider?
The roof can be a change order. I mean, like, we pitch no change orders, but as far as an addendum to a contract is really what I'm referring to, not a change order. So say structural analysis or an engineer comes through and decides that something does need to be done, it can be addendum to contract.
But if I could,
Sure,
Mr.
follow up.
Chairman,
Yeah.
but in that change order, the change orders cost us money. I want to be assured if that's the case, that you are withholding funds and not expending all of that.
I see what you're
So if the worst were to hit to us,
Yep.
and we need to replace the roof, we still have money in the bank to do that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not opposed to a change order, I'm not opposed to that fee. But if you know that number might be $750,000, maybe it's $500,000, maybe it's $1 million, that you don't commit $1 million of your project forward until we know that.
Sure, okay.
If that's something we could do, then I could sign up.
I don't have numbers broken out specifically to each of the systems, actually to each of the sections, but if we were to go ahead with your recommendation, it would be under the $8 million mark because we're basically Xing out an entire wing. So maybe for the time being, this is what we go ahead with, and presuming that the roof analysis is structurally fine, we go ahead with the entire project. If it is not, then the funding that would be utilized for that wing would go towards the roof.
Okay, I'm a long ways away from the lady. Did you agree with me or disagree? She agreed with you.
I agree with you, yes.
Thank you. You have witnesses at this now.
Yes.
Okay.
Representative Page.
So just to make sure that I'm on the same page, understand here. So what we're talking about potentially is going ahead and mobilizing on sections A and B of the project while conducting the engineering study on the roof. Is that a correct summary of what the recommendation is? And then my only follow-up question is just to confirm, since we're trying to spend down the Gopher funding as fast as possible, those fund purposes, would those sections of the building be eligible? I just want to make sure that the purposes of the fund would cover those sections.
Yep, we can be creative. So, it's you want to jump in now, so the nursing home related, yes.
It relates to the kitchen, the laundry area, this
Okay.
part which supports the nursing home, so yes, it will qualify for the Go for Nursing Home grant.
Okay, great.
Mr. Murray?
If you move forward with this, I'd like to be assured that section F is included, because that is critical to the workflow here. Section F has to be done first, so I can do what I need to do to allow the rest of the building to happen.
Representative Cordell?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have limited say as the delegation, and it's the commissioner's decision. We could make a recommendation to the commissioners, but that's as far as our authority goes. Am I correct?
You are correct. We would have to approve anything that happens over here, which is why we're here today. So we would, if they don't adhere to our recommendations or there's some back and forth, and we can come to, everybody can come to an agreement, then it goes forward. If they don't agree to what we agreed to, no project.
How is that under our scope of authority on the RSAs?
No funding.
Sorry, Mr. Murray.
I'm probably speaking out of turn, but it's my understanding that the commissioners would be responsible for the money. The delegation is responsible for permitting the construction to happen.
Correct. Just like we would permit any other change to any other building.
Okay, well, that might get us into the second section of the recommendation then, in terms of the wings and what is done, and possible addition to the nursing home. Is that part of the recommendation that we're going to discuss today?
We're discussing the whole recommendation from the
Okay.
Lands Committee. Yep, everything's on the table.
Okay.
From the Lands Committee, as far as I am concerned, we did talk at the last meeting. I know F is a big thing for you to do, clean out what needs to be cleaned out so they can work in these departments, in these areas. So that has not gone unheard. Right, am I correct, Representative Conti?
You are correct. If that wing is not filled with mold and things, it would make an issue.
Correct, so F could be where D and G is. If that is a better part of those two wings.
I'd prefer F because there will be the potential someday for that loading dock to be put on, and C would be the best location for that loading dock.
Not the other wing?
Correct.
Okay. You agree with Representative Conti?
I understand something green's growing in there, but if that's the recommendation, then I would go with the delegation's vote.
And I think that was your recommendation too, was to have F as part of the clean out so we can get into B.
Yes.
Because I think B is the biggest issue where storage is. Ms. Murray?
Please, the back half of this one.
Well, that's the office space. I've got stuff squirreled all over this building. But in order for me to consolidate it to let this project continue, I need to have F done first.
For the Siemens people, is that going to be a problem? Because that looks like it's just demo of a few walls and clean up.
No, I don't think so, part of the time.
Thank you. Representative Cordelli, answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor from Representative McAleer, seconded by Representative Smith. Any further discussion on that piece?
Could they read back the motion?
Sure. Ms. Clark?
Get back to me.
Yes,
Okay.
for the Representative McAleer's
So
motion.
I believe, and I'm open for correction, Mr. McAleer's motion is that the commissioners will engage an engineering firm to inspect the roof structure and make recommendation on the soundness and longevity of that product back to the commissioners
And us.
and us.
Sounds good enough for me.
Sounds great.
Question?
Representative
On the
Cordelli.
motion?
Sure.
The motion would require the expenditure of some funds in terms of bringing in the engineer. Where are those funds coming from?
Melissa, that might be your question.
Yeah. Pretty sure the
Our CFO?
delegation appropriated $75,000 for that. And of course, I think the ARPA funds would also cover engineering. So. Would that be
Yep, that's fine.
Commissioner would be in agreement with that, just for himself, not speaking upon?
No, you're right. Speaking for myself, yes.
Thank you.
But that is contingent on the approval of the commissioners.
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
And just to clarify, so the new line item that was added to the budget this year, the 75,000, that's the amount you're referring to?
Yeah, engineering would come out of that. That was, if I remember right, Mr. Chairman, we'd put that money aside for grants and so forth for the purpose of the Lands Advisory Committee, if I remember right.
Thank you.
So there is a pot of money. Don't tell them how much money they have. There is a pot of money.
Strike that from me.
Representative McDonald.
Just a general question, once that's done, will that meet all the requirements everyone, all the questions, and answer all the questions everyone asked? Is there going to be anything else that may jump up, or is that going to be the deciding factor on how we vote?
Do you vote however you want to vote?
I know, but is something else going to appear?
It might sway some of the other people's votes, but you want to answer that, Representative?
Yeah, if I could,
Yeah.
Representative, my understanding is that if they come back and say yearly maintenance is more insufficient, you know, we say that everything's fine, that's one item. If they come back and say that we don't have certainty in that, and that we need a new roof structure, then they will proceed to come up with what that number would be, which brings us back into that conversation. Instead of spending $8 million for renovations, it'll be some number less, plus the roof, which will equal $8 million.
Great, thank you for that, appreciate it.
Seeing no further questions?
Motion, if you're in favor of the motion, signify by saying yes. If not, no. Engaging an engineer for the purposes of roof. Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey is yes. Smith?
Yes.
Belcher?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Constable?
Yes.
Crawford?
She left the meeting.
Okay. McDonald?
Yes.
Petnell?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
McAleer?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
12 to nothing.
Thank you. And for the commissioners, this is not a directive, this is a suggestion. Because we can't tell you what to do.
But, Mr. Chairman, we only approved $4 million today.
It could be, but I'm trying to stay away from it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do understand your suggestion. All right, seeing, I'm sorry, you had a question?
Just a clarifying question. As far as approval to go ahead with construction on the building, it is hinging on the engineering report, or we're doing it simultaneously? I'm just worried about the timeline.
That's our next discussion. You will have all your answers today other than the roof. Representative McConkey.
Do we want to go on to Part B of the recommendation, or where would you like to go?
I would like to give the commissioners and Siemens a direction to go to today to start. Give us our final approval on where to start and look, and then we can decide down the road if we want to expand it to EDG, or if we just want to do the A, B, and E, and A, B, and F, with C maybe as a back end.
Well, the recommendation from the committee was that we would do A and B, figure out which wing makes sense, which now appears to be wing F for maintenance. That they would expend the monies they have with the, we have to come back to the second suggestion here, whether we're going to allow some money for engineering, for a cost estimate. But my understanding at this point is that we would allow the monies to be spent, providing we were working under that direction. But we must go to Part B, which is adding on to that building, because that would be a certain amount of money away from the $8 million, or is it the chairman's wish that we would drop that section?
I'd say we hold that section until we get the roofing done, the roofing estimate, whether we have to find money for that before we expend any other money on something else. just to make sure that we have enough in reserve. But I'm certainly happy to vote on B as well, and put that as contingency if we don't have to spend the money on the roof. Representative Brown, discussion.
I'd like to make that motion,
I know you
Mr.
would.
Chairman, so we just take care of the first half, and then based on the report that we get, decide on the second recommendation. Because otherwise, we wouldn't have a full idea of what the funding would be, and otherwise, I think it would be premature to act on the second part.
This is maybe a second, but can I ask a question first?
Certainly, I'm gonna reword that as you're talking.
I just want to make clear that the motion to authorize that we move forward with, or to authorize the funds to move forward with sections F, A, and B.
Right.
Okay, and I will second that.
Thank you. Ready, Mr. Clerk, for the motion?
Another hand up.
I'm sorry, Representative McDonald.
Thank you. One of the concerns I have is the commissioners haven't looked at the report. I don't believe they've seen the report. And I'm concerned they've made some commitments to maybe some nonprofits for different locations within the complex. I'd be more comfortable just setting a maximum rate, meaning $283,069 for the project, and let them decide what they want to take out based on what the needs they have.
Say that again?
I'd rather make a motion that we adopt that firm number rate, being $283,069. Let the commissioners decide what sections they want to fix. If the roof's an issue, and they can take it out of the $8 million to fix the roof. This way, they know what they want to plan, what their long plans are. I don't know what they are. They haven't even seen the, I don't think they've seen this report yet. And they may have some input they want to put into a future review.
Correct. Thanks, Representative Cordelli.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is a phased, we talked about a phased project, moving to a phased project, I think, with Siemens. And so we're talking about a first phase, which is A, B, and F. I'm opposed to the other part of it, the eliminating the other wing from the project, and I'm opposed to the addition to the current nursing home. So if we're talking about just phase one with the recommendation that it be A, B, and F, I'm fine with that as a recommendation strictly. But in terms of the rest of this, I'm opposed to it.
Representative Brown.
So just a clarification on my motion, Mr. Chairman, my clarification of the motion actually goes along with what Representative Cordelli was just talking about, that we move forward with, that recommend to the commissioners that we move forward with A, B, and F if it's not an issue, and get the roofing report to verify that the roof is okay, and then move from there. So I think I'm agreeing with Representative Cordelli that we hold on the second half of the recommendation that we originally spoke about, but allow authorization for the commissioners financially to move forward with those, the A, B, and F, if they so agree with the roofing report. Yes.
They can move forward with A, B, and F simultaneously while
Yeah,
getting
the
the
roofing
report.
report, right. So
And
we can
then-
verify what we would have to spend
Right,
potentially.
and then on receipt of the roofing report, we would make a further determination
Exactly,
without backing away from A, B, and F.
yes.
I was just going to suggest...
Representative McAleer.
Thank you. I was just going to suggest we add the word contingent in there, contingent on the report from the, about the roof.
Representative Cordelli.
What is contingent on what, though?
In other words...
We're moving, we say we want to move forward with A, B, and F. Anything else is contingent on the...
Exactly.
Right, but that's not part of the motion. The motion is just A, B, and F, recommendation, and getting the engineer report on the roof. That's the extent of the...
I heard that the roof contingency was part of the recommendation, part of his...
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
So, as Representative McConkey said, the idea was that we would move forward with A, B, and F, withholding funds other than that, so that we could potentially re-roof A, B, and F so we wouldn't move forward with all the funding. So,
Correct.
as you said, it would be basically contingent on the fact that we would have to retain monies to do a move over AV&F.
That is the way I heard yours.
I'm glad somebody heard what I said.
Representative Page.
I'd just like to follow up on Representative Cordelli's comment. And I would actually love to see us get ED and G done as well. And I think in our conversation in Lands Committee, we arrived at this as, I think, the most prudent path, that we make sure that we don't have some big unexpected expenses
Right.
before we move forward. But I think I would love to see the whole project happen as the commissioners have recommended, if we can have some reassurance that we can keep it within budget. I think the other piece is, and in our committee meeting a little bit ago, you know, there are some parts of the funding that are contingent on pieces of this project, like I think there was $300K specifically for classrooms. So I think this phased approach makes a lot of sense. Let's do the pieces we know that we can afford to do, that we know we want to do. Let's do it concurrently with getting the roofing, the roof engineering report done, and then let's reconvene on this question of the other wing once we have more information. So that's what I would prefer.
I think that's what I said.
That's well said. Representative Cordell.
Yeah, I just don't, I don't know what's contingent on what. I'm just go back to what's contingent.
I think at this point,
We want to proceed with phase one.
Back and forth, or you had a question for?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Representative Page.
I believe the motion, as we have framed it, is we are proceeding with F, A, and B.
That's the recommendation.
Correct, we're doing it. Simultaneously, we're recommending that the roof study be done.
Right.
And then we will come back and look at the rest of the project.
Right.
That is my understanding of the motion.
Right.
Yes.
My understanding as well.
Everybody on board with that motion?
AB.
Representative Page, Representative Brown, are you okay with that motion, since
I
it's your
am.
motion?
I am. I make that motion, and just to further understand it, so we're not doing that other section of the project because we need to withhold funds to be able to put a roof over what we're proceeding with. That's the reason why I make that motion, is because otherwise we wouldn't have the funding.
But that's not part of the motion.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I'm trying to clarify it for,
We want to have, the commissioners have a direct recommendation, we want Siemens to have a direct path
Right.
forward, we want to have the roofing done for us, and we also want to give Bob his storage so he can start doing what he needs to do. Those are the
Yes.
things, that is the thing that's handling this motion right now.
right.
The roofing has already been, on a separate motion, has already been requested from the
Right.
commissioners. Representative McConkey.
With the full knowledge that the county is going to have to expend other monies to make improvements to parking, driveways, and exterior
We don't.
waterproofing.
Is that part of the motion?
No, I'm just clarifying that the county is going to have to find monies in their budget to do those things. So you're still going to walk in on crumbling asphalt. That's all I'm saying. Would you believe?
I would believe.
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Brown, and I know we had a second by Representative Page. Thank you. Any questions from the people on Zoom?
Nope. He's good. That was yes. He's good.
Representative Burrows, any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And Siemens, does that give you listening to this discussion and the motion, does that give you a clear delineation of where this delegation would like to go?
Yes, I do believe we should set a follow-up meeting for after we have an engineer analysis come through, though.
Oh, most certainly.
We'll be ready.
My concern is that for those of you that are in construction, you know that quotes don't typically last much longer than 90 days. So what we have for E, D, and G might not withstand like a year after construction or whatever.
Jordan, we understand that.
Okay.
Mr. Clark?
Are we?
Seeing no further, sorry, Representative Cordell.
Just since we've got a lot of discussion on the motion, could we hear the motion before we vote?
I'm starting to regret my position over here. So my understanding is that we have a motion, it's been seconded. that we're directing the commissioners to proceed with the renovation of A, B, and F.
Requesting.
No, we're approving.
We're approving.
We're approving A, B, and F.
And during that time, we're going to withhold enough the commissioners are to engage an engineering firm to evaluate the condition of the roof and come up with a construction cost, so that in the event that the roof needs replacement and or a major repair, that we go no further expending funds until that is known.
Correct.
But it will allow them to move forward.
Correct, which is what we need to do today.
So with that.
Any further questions? Mr. Clerk?
Cordelli?
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Belcher?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Constable?
No.
McDonald?
Yes.
Pednell?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
McAleer?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
12 to 1, motion carries.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere yet. I'll be right back, Mr. Chairman. All right. Do you need, does the commissioners need anything else from us to, at this point, to have our approval for A, B, and F to go forward?
Not that I can think of.
And you will take into consideration our recommendation for a roofing.
We will.
Thank you. Siemens and the Siemens Corp., do you need anything else from us before we leave today, before you leave today? You guys have a clear direction of our intent?
Indiana?
I think the only thing, just to reiterate what David just talked about, we've got a short timeline with quotes, and if we could just make sure once we get that we have a quick meeting with you to move forward one way or the other. Or we may have to get new prices
For the other part of the
for the other part of the project. It's more of a general comment. I know how hard it is to get meetings pulled together.
So our next meeting, I'm looking for September-ish, because we don't only have to do second quarter numbers.
So pricing that we have currently for the remaining parts would have to go out to bid again if we were to wait for September.
For ED and G?
Correct.
But
Is that fair?
A, B, and F are pretty
A,
solid.
B, and F are very solid.
Yes.
What you see is what you get.
Is that fair, since you're the engineer on the team?
A, B, and F have not been broken out.
Right, but they're referring to,
Oh, the pricing that we have already gotten, yeah.
right, in the
That's
second
okay.
phase of the project, would we have to go back out to our
That
bid,
makes sense too, just verify pricing.
which we can do.
Can I ask
Representative
a
Carroll,
question?
sure.
If we meet before that, are you committed to prices right now?
I think probably what we should do is wait for whatever the engineering analysis comes back with
Okay.
and how quick they can turn around.
I would think, again, if I can just
Follow?
I would think that the longer we wait, if we're committed to a certain price right now, then in September, it's probably going to be more than what we're committed to now, that we have now.
Not always, sometimes they can
Okay.
hold it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have good people on our team.
Representative Cordelli.
What is the actual end date for that, the quotes you have? Was that the end of July, did you say?
Yeah, I don't know, that's a good question. Do you know how long they held their
I have
prices
to get
for?
back to that, but yeah, I think as of now, it's the same, yeah.
But, follow?
Sure.
But we would hope that in June, we would have an engineer on site to do the evaluation,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
So we could meet at that point, when that number, an evaluation comes in, and make determinations which could put us in advance of any rebidding of the next phase.
Certainly. Yep.
Okay.
Motion to have the Lands Committee say at the beck and call of Siemens, but to receive any updates from the Siemens Commission.
I'm good with that.
And then send it over to the delegation as a full recommendation. Is that okay?
Okay, so do you want to hire the engineer, or do you want?
Let's talk afterwards.
Okay.
We'll figure that out.
Need a motion for that, to do that?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Representative Brown. Do we have a second?
Second.
To allow the Lands Committee to accept recommendations from Siemens and send them to the full delegation in the timely manner. Because it's easier to get 3 than 15.
Right, could we have that also go to the commissioners?
That's our motion. I'm sure the commissioners are going to get their thing as well.
Right, yeah, I want any evaluation of the roof system to go to the commissioners as well as to the delegation.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Yes.
Make sure that.
Right.
You okay with that?
Well, I just want to qualify the motion before I say forward, so that, as I understand, the delegation would...
The delegation is asking the Lands Committee to be the go-between between Siemens and all the updates that they will receive and making another recommendation to the delegation.
Is that clear enough to the delegation?
Well, I'm clear on what the motion is.
We'll just make sure that we are accessible, you 3 are more accessible than me trying to get 15 of us in the room.
And we're happy to do that.
Thank you, I
Okay.
thought you would.
With that, if you're in favor of the motion, signify by yes. If you're opposed, no. Cordelli?
No.
McConkey, yes. Smith?
Yes.
Belcher?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Constable?
Yes.
McDonald?
No.
Petnell?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
McAleer?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion 11 to 1, 11 to 2.
Thank you. Anything else from the Siemens people? Have we done everything you need to do to move forward with this project?
Yes. Carroll County has hired an attorney, and working with our attorney, they had a meeting this afternoon to review terms and conditions, so we should be drafting contracts fairly soon here to start ABNR.
Thank you. Can we make sure that we get a copy of that as well? And you need me to sign them?
If we do, yes, I don't know if it'll be Commissioner McCarthy or you. Would it be both? Or-
Yes, I can.
No, no, what?
The commissioners enter contracts.
Perfect.
Certainly want a copy of it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
And will we be able to, for the commissioners, will we be able to weigh in if we find something we don't like in that contract? Yes, I don't see why not. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time again. I know you guys have been spending a lot of time in this project, and we thank you for it. And, of course, Mr. Murray as well. Your dedication is unshakable.
Thank you, appreciate it.
2023 wait a minute. Review of the first quarter plus April financials from the CFO.
Okay, I'm sure you all have this in your documents.
Somewhere.
Somewhere, okay, it's a lot of pages, so I'm just going to summarize it very quickly. We're about 33% through the year, and we are, for the county, we have received 43% of our income excluding county taxes that don't come in until December. And we are, get to that, 32% spent of the budget, 31% in the nursing home. So county budget 32, nursing home 31. Nursing home income is up $500,000 over this time last year. And this time last year, we had already borrowed $2.5 million on our line of credit, and we have not had to borrow at this point. So we are saving interest on our line of credit. One note, we had budgeted $120,000 in interest income, and because of our investments with Bank of New Hampshire, we've already earned that. So we have earned our full budget amount in interest income as of April. So the financial statements are in good shape, and I will comment on the agency staff because I keep a close eye on it. I calculate what we had budgeted between salaries and benefits as compared to what we have spent on agency staff. At the end of April, we're $77,000 over budget in total through April, but I feel that that's going to start tapering off, and we will at least be break even by the end of the year is my thinking. But again, we are $500,000 over budget in revenue for the nursing home through April as well. So those are the key points.
All right, when you say over budget, you mean we received an extra $500,000 that was unanticipated?
Correct.
Thank you, because when you say over budget.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Any questions on the first quarter financials plus April?
Representative Burrow's hand is raised.
Oh, Representative Burrows, my apologies.
Yeah, I have a question for the CFO. Given that there's a surplus, is there any, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there any consideration of using some of that to bring down the agency staff? The number of the agency staff? I guess I'd make it clarify, by paying nurses more so that we have more on-staff nurses in agency.
That has not been discussed by me, possibly between the HR director and the director of the nursing home, but I have not been involved in such a discussion.
Follow-up?
Yeah, is anyone else concerned about the amount for agency staff in this room?
We all are.
We all are, that's why we're keeping an eye on it. Follow-up?
Nope.
Right, thank you. Representative Brown.
So, in regard to Representative Burrow's question, do we have a contract with the nurses here? We do have a contract, okay. That's all I wanted to make sure.
Thank you. Any further questions for the CFO, on the financials? Representative McDonald.
We have agency people, we save some money on retirement, don't we?
Yes, I've included all the benefits. I took salary plus the benefits as compared to what we've spent on agency staff.
So there's some
Follow-up?
group one savings, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Right now, taking the actual budgets for salary and benefits less or what we've paid in agency, we have paid $77,000 more in agency than we have budgeted through April.
Thank you.
Any further questions? We have a 23 audit. I'm just going to say it's May, and we have our last year's audit done for June.
Yes,
Thank you.
you are welcome.
It has been what, Representative McConkey, how many years has it been?
Way too many. It's, I echo the chairman's thoughts, and this is just nothing but a pleasure to sit here and know that we're active and right up till April, and thank you and your staff for that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Okay, you have the floor, Ms. CFO.
Okay, so the 2023 audit has been signed, sealed, and delivered by the auditors. It has been presented and accepted by the commissioners. It is a clean opinion. There were no findings. This audit included a single audit, which is necessary when you expend more than $750,000 in federal money. So there was extensive testing due to the single audit, and again, there were no findings. So a clean opinion. They did offer 2 documents, a management letter, which picked up 4 points that are meant to be discussed and distributed to the departments to strengthen internal controls. They were very minor, like one instance, a $1,500 deposit was deposited later than a week. The RSA requires it to be deposited within a week. There was one missing I-9, one error in payroll. very minor things, 4 items like that. They've been sent to the departments, and the department helped me draft the response to the auditors. They've been corrected, and they're extremely immaterial considering a $34 million budget. So I'm very pleased and very happy with all of the departments and the efforts they put in and putting up with me with all my controls and processes that we've put in place.
And we've gotten to this point where for years, Representative Cordelli, we've been beating the drums to get these corrected, and they are finally corrected. And I want to thank you
You're very welcome.
and the commissioners for making this happen for the delegation, because our trust in the numbers has grown through the years, and I have no issues with them right now.
Very good.
As not in the past. Representative Cordelli.
Yes, have we received an electronic copy of that?
Yes, and I
Okay.
sent that out this morning, and Melissa, I was thinking she sent it to the entire delegation.
Yep.
Yep.
I have it if you want to look at
No, it's here. Just trying to find it.
So next year, what are they, if there's no questions from the delegation, what are they looking for next year for another audit? It's going to be the same, same type of scope, or are they going to look in the same departments? Are they going to be looking elsewhere for the, strengthening of internal controls or stuff like that? I mean, is that something we can get ahead of for the next year?
Usually as an auditor, you try to go in and pick different areas that what you did the previous year. It's hard to say. They do it based on materialities. If one department is very low income, very low transactions, they probably aren't going to concentrate that on as much. The nursing home, of course, is a huge Department of Corrections. Those are the 2 departments that they really focus on because they are so large. So it's hard to tell, but we are constantly, even yesterday, trying to tighten controls and change things to make them better all the time. So.
Thank you, that is a good direction to be heading in.
Yeah.
Any further questions on the audit? Move to accept the audit as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Representative Page. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Cordelli. Any further discussion? Mr. Clark.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented, or excuse me, the audit, 2023 audit as presented. If you're in favor of that motion, signify by saying yes or aye. If you're opposed, nay or no. Mr. Chairman, Cordelli.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Thank you. It's good to hear that. McConkey, yes. Smith.
Yes.
Belcher.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Constable.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hednell.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
McAleer.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Appointment of the trustee of the trust funds. I did have a discussion with Representative Bucco. He's been on finance, and he's also one of our longest-serving members. I would like to move to have him appointed to the trustees of the trust funds. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Representative Cordelli. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Representative McAleer.
I'd like to know the makeup of the trust funds, or how much money is in there, is there, and who is investing in? Do you have those answers? Does
I know
anybody
somebody
have-
who does.
Yeah.
It's not me. Just see if.
So we have 2 trust funds, the Edna Doobie CD, which is approximately $211,000. It was given to the nursing home. It's unrestricted money, but it is considered a trust fund.
Is it a private fund or is it a public fund?
It's monies that have been donated to the county nursing home, but it is considered a trust, so we are moving it to a board of trustees, which is 3 people.
Who
Okay,
would-
follow-up?
Yeah, who invests the money? Where, I mean, You have the firm, do you have the state?
It's invested in a CD with TD Bank currently.
That's all the trust funds you have?
We have that, so I was answering that question. And then we have what was called the nursing home gift cart. We've now called it the MVC Charitable Fund. That has about $69,000 in it, I'm rounding. And that is monies that have been left from resident family members or residents leaving the nursing home to the nursing home, and now maybe possibly for specific funds like the activity funds or the therapy tubs or whatever. So that account has been maintained at the nursing home. We just today received a check to close out their account and put it into a new bank account within the finance department.
So, follow-up. So all the money is invested in CDs, but these are perpetual funds?
The 211,000, the CD is in the CD, and the 69,000 is just in a checking account.
Okay.
The CD is unrestricted, so it can be used for a purpose at this point that the trustees agree to.
Thank you.
That's all.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Maybe you should not trust you.
Huh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you making a motion?
I'm a trustee of the Jackson Trust Fund. I've been there for 6 years. And we turned it over of how the money was invested. That's why I was asking that question.
Certainly.
He's looking for a job.
No, I'm not looking for a job. That's just not enough money there.
There you go. So we have a motion and a second to appoint Representative Bucco to the...
I'll second that.
We already got that first and second.
Oh, okay.
You can have him say.
You can breathe. And then obviously that would be an appointment we would have to make every December with doing our organizational meetings.
Motion's been made and
Seconded,
seconded.
yep. And we have any further questions? Mr. Clark?
Cordelli,
Yes.
McConkey, yes. Smith,
Yes.
Belcher,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Constable,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Pednell,
Yes.
Anita, Burrows,
Yes. Yes.
McAleer.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Any further business to come before the delegation?
If I could say that's a reason why you should attend meetings, you don't get appointed.
That's correct. Yeah, I remember that.
But we have someone on our radar now.
Yes, we do. I like that. We've got definitely. Next term. Now that you let the cat out of the bag, you're on the hook.
Now you have to work on to get reelected.
Representative Page. Hold on, people, hold on. We have a question.
Is it our intention not to meet again until September, or are we going to try to convene again after we get the report on the roof sooner than that?
When you guys get the report, you can ask the chairman, he'll schedule a thing. But our next tentatively scheduled meeting is for September, so we can enjoy the summer. But if we need to meet before that,
Maybe
we will make it happen.
If it's bad news, right? If it's good news.
Either way, we'd have to give further direction.
That's true, yes.
Yep. It should be a vote of the entire delegation, otherwise I'd say executive committee to do it, but I don't want to do that. Sure. Did you follow? Oh, I'm sorry, did you Representative Cordelli? Go ahead.
Yeah, just in line with your comment, I think it's vital that we, when we know the roof situation, we then decide on phase 2, and if that's the other wing, or what we're doing, because I know several of us have strong opinions on that.
Certainly.
This is
Representative Constable.
Thanks. This is sort of other business, unrelated, but there was that auction for the sheriff's vehicle. Who did all that? I just have some suggestions on doing stuff like that in the future. I think we left money on the table. by doing the sealed, you know, the paper sealed bids, everything, there's a lot of online auctions. So I was just curious on who does that, what commissioners and that stuff going forward? Because I don't think it has anything to do with us, correct?
Correct. But I will ask that question to the I'm sorry, CFO could- and the commissioners. And Mr. Murray.
Yeah, I manage the auction.
Okay. Yeah. Can I talk to you after?
Absolutely.
Did you want to have anything in public, or you just want to talk to them offline?
No, I just think we were leaving money on the table by doing it as the written sealed bids, where like now, you know, the state, and there's plenty of other counties, how they do it is the online auctions and it's real easy to set up for the commissioners to set that up electronically. I just think what I've noticed, I used to be in part of auctions and everything, I've noticed that when the states and the counties started going online, their revenue went way up in terms of what they were collecting on auctions. So like where in this case, maybe they would get 1 or 2 bids, and you know, it's on the lower level. On an online auction, you're gonna get closer to what a wholesale value would be. And that's my own.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea for...
If there's a better mousetrap, I'm interested.
Sounds great to me. If Mr. Murray would entertain it, you're more than welcome to speak with him.
I appreciate it.
Seeing nothing else to come before the full delegation, we are in recess to the call of the chair. Executive committee hangout, we got some administrative things to do.
2:44.